Our dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful for this wonderful day. We're grateful for Thee and that Thou continues to bestow blessings upon our lives and that Thou continues to support and love us and teach us through Thy Spirit. And we're so grateful for the power of prayer and that we're able to call on Thee to help us in our times of struggle or trials. We're grateful that Thou is invested in our education and helping us improve and become better disciples of Christ. We're grateful for all these students and the time and effort that they put into their assignments and their willingness to learn and grow. And we're grateful for their positive attitude too as well. We're grateful for this wonderful university, and please bless us now as we go through this demo, that we may have Thy Spirit with us, that we may be able to understand the principles that are being taught, that the students can have a clear understanding of what is expected of them, and be able to be inspired to be creative with their icon sets. Please bless them as they struggle or they get frustrated, that they can turn to Thee and find peace and guidance through Thy help. And we love Thee so very much, Heavenly Father. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. All right. So I just want to say, I know this is not easy, okay? I've been in your shoes and I understand it. And that is why I do take that into consideration when I am teaching you, when I am grading your assignments. I don't want you to think that I don't know that you're going through a hard class right now, because I do know that, and I'm doing my best to help you along the way. What I really want to encourage you to do is to start trying to problem solve a little bit. That will help you so much in this class. If you run into a struggle, I want you to go on Google and I want you to type in exactly your problem and see if you can find a way to fix that. Or I want you to actually set up office hours appointments with me and get help that way too as well. I want you to set up appointments with the tutor, okay? I really need your help in this class as much as you need my help too as well. Please let me help you, and also please sign up for the tutor. If you are feeling like you are always drowning in these assignments, set up an hour appointment with the tutor, because you know what? They will sit with you and they will help you avoid those frustrating problems. Don't save that for the last minute. If you know you have an assignment due on Wednesday and you're learning a whole new program, set up an appointment with the tutor to help you for an hour working in that new program, so that you can get through it. And what I recommend too, before you set up an appointment with the tutor, is I recommend you reviewing the assignment. I mean, still set up an appointment with the tutor, but before you meet with the tutor, review your whole assignment, review the videos, so that you're prepared for when the tutor comes to meet with you, that you can just start working on your project. And you guys don't have to read through the requirements together, okay? Make good use of that time. And please let me know what's going on. If you need to provide me feedback on things I could be doing better to help you, let me know. I really do want you to succeed in this class, because I know it's not easy, and it's not an easy class to learn online. So kudos to you for taking on that challenge, and let me help you get through it, because there'll be many blessings that come from this class, okay? All right, so enough of that. Let's go ahead and let me share my screen. All right, so in my previous video, I actually once again did the project with you. I do not know how that got there in text, but I did the project with you. I created these icon sets. So what you can learn in the other video is kind of how to free draw some of these shapes here. I talk about the blob tool and how to use that. It's a really cool tool that we really don't talk about in the worksheet, just kind of a fun tool that I wanted to make sure you knew how to do, and how to create these shadows behind your icons if you just want to do that extra bit. You don't have to do this, but some of you I know feel like these icons look like 5-year-olds did them. Really, they're supposed to be simple, and this right here, this is an A assignment. There's not a lot of complexity to it. You know, it's just simple shapes coming together to create an icon that symbolizes something. And so I am fine if it looks like a 5-year-old did it, or a 5-year-old could tell what it is. You know, there's value in simplicity too, because this is universally known and recognized. When sometimes you get too complex in your designs, then it's, you know, you start to lose the simplicity and the universal symbol that is behind it. So I kind of talk about that, how to free draw some of this stuff, how to create these shadows behind. So if you want to do that, you can, and to add that extra oomph to your project. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. That's the beauty of it. Whatever level you're at, I want you to, you know, stay kind of in that level and perfect yourself in that level. When you're ready to move on and expand and grow, then do it, okay? Then I wanted to share this with you to kind of give you an idea how this is so applicable for the real world. I also talked about that in my other video with websites, but this is something I am doing right now. You love my organization. My coworkers, my design team, they kind of laugh at me because I always have artboards all over the board. And artboards are these little boards right here because you can create new artboards to work on. But I have them all over the board. I never organize things really well. But my boss right now, we're launching over 200 websites within the next year. And so he wanted my team to brand 200 websites. So we have 200 logos we're designing. Right now I have 50 something on here that I've just done in a couple of weeks that I've had to do. 50 logos in a couple weeks. This is a new record for me, for sure. Oh, this one, the text didn't come over. So just ignore that. But I wanted to show you because logos are, icons are used in logos so often. And the simpler they are, the easier they are to recognize and the brand to pop out. Some of our most famous logos that we recognize, like the Nike sign, the Apple sign, they're so simple, but yet we know exactly what brand it goes to. So that's the key when designing logos, is to keep things simple, but to add a little punch of creativity and uniqueness to your logos. So I wanted to show you this because these are essentially just icons I'm working on. Hearts, there's a lot of hearts because we're working with, we do a lot of adoption stuff. So we're doing a lot of adoption, fertility, the whole adoption reunions and searching and stuff. So we do a lot of that, but these are just icons that are coming together to create logos, essentially, you know, and just kind of done in a more fun way, so that it creates this kind of brand for the company and also a universal symbol that is recognizable. So that's kind of what I've been doing. And so I wanted you to know I'm doing this with you. I'm doing icons all the time, quite a few in fact. And then I have to add typography with it. But this is stuff that you can use for your career to actually brand yourself or brand your company, or brand, if you're wanting to start a company, you know, you could help somebody brand it. But these are like my final ones that I bring to my boss, and he tells me whether he wants to use it or not, or to go back to the drawing board. And here's my drawing board. I call it scrap paper for this project because it literally is a whole bunch of shapes and icons in here that I just start creating logos with and playing around with until I get something that I like, that I'm working with. So it's a huge scrap paper that I work, and then I bring in color schemes that I find off the web that I can grab from. You know, I play around with lettering so that I can, you know, make subtle letters. This is all stuff I researched too and found, and then I bring it in here and I start to play around with it. So don't be afraid, you know, you don't have to just be working on your final. Bring it in and start playing around with ideas until you get an idea that works, you know, and then you can also ask people, does this make sense? Do you understand what's going on here? And then they can give you tips or advice, or you just make things. So anyways, enough about that. Let's go back to my scrap paper here. don't be afraid to do strokes too and work with strokes, because I think I have a heart up here. Yeah, I have a heart up here. You can do a lot of fun things with just your strokes. I'm going in right over here, I believe, right? Yeah, I want to go in right here. So I have this heart here that I created, right? It's filled in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and switch these, toggle these, so that it has a stroke and it does not have a fill, okay? Then if I come up here, I can increase my stroke size right here. I can come over here and there's different things that I can do to my stroke, see, to make it kind of more calligraphy or play around with that. I can also increase the size of my stroke. You can see it more obviously. But this creates a fun heart that makes an interesting icon. And all I really needed to do was play around with my stroke up here. Here's some other options too if you just want to work specifically with the brush. Like if you want a specific brush, you know, you can play around with this. There also, if you go to your window, let me click off window, and you go down here and find your stroke palette. You can click on that. It has your stroke options here too as well. Oh no, it's my brush that I want to use. So window, brush. It's in alphabetical order. I don't know why I'm not seeing it. Oh, brushes right there. You have tons of different brushes here that you can work with too. So select your circle. You can apply these brushes and it creates some fun uniqueness to your icons too as well. Like maybe you want a watercolored heart. If you click this little library down here, there's also different borders that you can work with, like more decorative borders that you can play around with too as well. Let me select my heart. Putting a whole bunch of squares together. But anyways, so that could help you out too, just playing around with the stroke. And let's say I want this to turn into a shape now instead of just being a stroke. If I come up to Object and I go Expand Appearance. So remember, when we're working with an object, we go to our Object menu and Expand Appearance. What that did is it made this now a shape. So if I grab my direct select tool, look, these are each individual points now that I can adjust and play around with. And it's working within a shape more. So if I want to adjust that shape. So that's pretty cool. I've done a lot of that with my logos on my logo project. You know, expanded shapes and stuff. Like this, I created using a stroke and then I expanded it so it's now a shape. That I work with. There was this heart is a stroke that I just made the heart with, and then I just expanded it. And the best part is you don't have to stick with that one shape that you created. So maybe I created this shape. Let's go back to before it was expanded right there. And I want it to look a little bit more like this type of a heart, you know, free drawn. I can come over here with my direct select tool selected and click, pull, and drag, and that grabs multiple points. It didn't grab all the points, but multiple points. And then I start using my arrow keys up and down, just my arrow keys on my keyboard, and it can start to make those shapes a little bit bigger. You may still have to come in here and adjust some things, but that's cool. You can come in here with your direct select tool and just select, you know, a few points and move them around with your arrow keys so that you're not losing too much of the proportion, but making it a little bit more fun. So Illustrator is fun in the sense that you don't have to be an artist to manipulate shapes. Like you literally have handlebars that do the engineering for you. Okay? Now, what I suggest you doing is bringing your sketches that you've just created for your icons, and that's why it's important to do sketches beforehand, but bring your sketches into I'm drawing a blank, into your Illustrator document, and you can just do that by going File, Place, and bringing them in there. or just dragging them off your desktop and dragging them into your InDesign file, your Illustrator file. I work with these programs all the time. I always get them mixed up. And now you have the ability to actually go in here and look at these shapes. Like, oh, I have a curved shape here, a curved shape here, a curved shape here, a curved shape here. Maybe I should do either an ellipse tool or a rounded rectangle tool to create this. Let's do a rounded rectangle tool, okay? And maybe I want these a little less rounded on the edges. Maybe just a little bit more. There we go. And then I have these little, I'm sorry if you can't see this, hopefully you can, but I have these little things coming out for the flower bag. So I can come over here and grab an ellipse tool. That's pretty close to it. And let's just make circles over each one of these. I'm just drawing circles. I can adjust them in just a second by grabbing my selector tool and coming in here. And I like to use my arrow keys to move things around sometimes. So don't be afraid to select things and use your arrow keys on your keyboard. That's a really handy shortcut that I like to do. Saves me time. Okay, let's go ahead and select these. And we can use the shape builder tool again to come over here and draw them together. And now I have, a flower bag with individual points. Now I can come in here and start adjusting that flower bag to kind of fit more my drawing by playing around with these handlebars, and pulling things out, pulling points over, making it more round in some areas, making it more frumpy in other areas, making it look like it's kind of blending into this instead of, so you just kind of then play around with it. I would spend a little bit more time than I'm doing right here and being a little bit more careful. And that's the thing. Sometimes you do have to spend some time and be careful with what you're doing. But I would then adjust this, start adjusting it, and I have it start matching your flower. But you can bring your sketches in so that you can start playing with shapes and then adjusting them to kind of fit more your project. Now, let's talk about cutting out pieces, because this is, a struggle that a lot of people have with their icons. They've had this initial shape, but they want to create this flower part here, this line that goes through. So I know that I can come in here and create a square, right? So I can bring that then on top of my shape. Now I can use the shape builder tool. And let me show you that real quick. First, let me select both objects. Oops, select both objects. Bring my shape builder tool in there. Combine that in there, and let's delete these side things. Oops, hold Option and delete them. And now I have my little line there. Now I can still select that. Let's go ahead and make that white. Oops. I didn't do that with the direct select tool. Make sure you grab, when you're working, because this is now combined into a shape, when you're working with shapes within shapes, if you grab your direct select tool and then you click on the path that you're wanting to, notice how it's only selecting this this rectangle now. So direct select tool allows you to select directly. The selection tool will have you select the whole object. Anyway, so let's click on that, fill, and let's make that white now. See, boom. Now I have that line. And that was, that's a harder thing to figure out, but really just using that shape builder tool will do that. Now, if you are not as comfortable with the shape builder tool, it's harder for you to see those shapes within the shape builder tool, there is another tool that's really handy that you can use. So let's go ahead and play around with this one right here. I'm going to make a circle for this apron, and then I'm going to make a square for this one right here. And then I'm going to go in and make these shapes a little bit later, but let's do the start of the apron. So I have both of those. I'm going to go to Window, and I'm going to go to Pathfinder right here. Pathfinder palette, I'm going to put it right here so that I can just work from it directly right there. But the Pathfinder tool is doing what the Shape Builder tool is doing, essentially, but it's just working with these icons instead. Let me bring that out so you can see it better. So for example, this one will merge these two items together. This one will, just have the top one create the shape. The top one cuts into the bottom shape. This one is intersect. So where it's intersecting, it's going to remove everything else. This one, it will cut out the middle of the intersection. This one I use a lot when I need each individual shape to be separated. And what it does is it divides everything. So if I come in here with my direct select tool, I can actually click on these shapes and they're separated now. So anyways, that's not what I needed to do though. I needed to merge them together. So I merged them together to start creating my apron. Okay, so that tool is helpful too. It's kind of similar to the Shape Builder tool. But I want you to come in here and I want you to bring your sketches in so that you can see these shapes and play around with them. And then use your direct select tool to adjust them, to move your points around. You have your basic design now. Now if you need to move it around a little bit, adjust it, you can click on these points individually and do that, okay? I like to use the blob tool, and I talked about this in my other video. I'll talk about it again because I think it's so helpful if you're wanting to free draw some stuff. But if you click on your paintbrush tool, underneath it is called the blob brush tool. I love this tool because I feel like it's very forgiving. So let's say I just draw that, right? It tries to actually curve the edges to the way that you need to. It's a lot easier to free draw. So for example, when I was working on one of these logos, this one right here, I decided I was just going to free draw this leaf. So I just drew a leaf like that. I mean, I did a little bit better. I'm trying to work fast. But anyways, I just free drew a leaf and then it kind of manipulated it so it didn't look so choppy. See how my edges are really curved? The best part about that too is you can come up here to your stroke tool and you can pick different brushes to use for the blob tool, and it'll work with those brushes too as well. So see how it's a little bit more calligraphy? But see how choppy my lines are and how choppy it is, but as soon as I release my mouse, it smooths everything out. So it's a lot easier to hand draw when you work with the blob tool. It also will help you combine things. So let me go ahead, go back to my scrap paper real quick. Let's say I'm working on this shape. I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to grab my blob tool, my blob brush tool, and let's say I want to come in here and just kind of make this a little bit more realistic with lines that go in here to make it look more like a sack. If I want a little bit more illustration details, I can do that. Keep in mind, you don't have to do illustration details. Like I mentioned before, these can be as simple as you want. But let's say you want it to kind of look more like that. As soon as you release, this is now a part of this shape. So it just added it to the stroke. Do you see that? So it combined it, and now it's its own little shape that you can work around with and adjust. But anyways, you can do that too as well. It's really good for shadowing. So anyways, hopefully that, I'm going to stop because I just keep going and going, and I have so much fun with this, but I need to stop. because we took a lot of time here. But hopefully that helps you or encourages you or makes you realize, this project is not as intense as you think it is. Just try and make it simple. The simpler it is, the easier it is to recognize. There's a form of art in simplicity. Please let me know if this doesn't help or if you want me to go a different direction in my videos. Have a great week and see you at Draft Critiques.